Hello. Welcome to the Smile Revolution. I am Princess Wow. And here's my new friend. She's actually a doll. I got her from London, East London in April. She's so cute. What happened? Am I losing electricity? Oops. We have a storm here. I just have lightning and thunder. I think I had just a little bit of a problem freezing. Okay. So let's see. I have a really exciting show tonight. I've got Richard Skipper. I'll tell you all about him in a little bit. But first, I'll just say I'm a hat designer, entertainer, a former radio show host, and singer-songwriter. Play a little ukulele in my show. I do one-woman shows, and what else do I do? I write shows with my director in LA. And let's see, this is my 171st show since March 2020. But they weren't all interview shows. Actually, you'll hear more about how I got back into doing my interviews with Richard. But I did a variety of shows to help people smile, because my mission, the Smile Revolution, raising awareness to the healing power of a genuine smile. Sincere smiles only apply. Now, I have this book here, The Healing Power of Humor, by Alan Klein. It's an old book, but it's really good. I just wanted to read a little bit from it. Well, somebody wants to say hello first, though. Gumby. Anybody remember Gumby? Or know who Gumby is? He always has a big smile and a hug for everybody. Okay. Now let's see here. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Take a look around where you're sitting and find 5 things that make you smile. Go ahead and do it. With a smile mindset, you'll find that things cause you to smile jump out at you. A childhood toy, a favorite picture, your pet, and so on. In addition, when you smile, things seem to smile back. In other words, if you look for smiles, you'll find them. It's all a matter of setting your mental channel. And what else here? Some really good things. Hold on. I find this other. Okay. Learn to laugh exercise. If indeed faking a smile is as beneficial as doing it for real, then go ahead and do it. Smile. How do you feel when you're smiling? Now frown and notice how you're feeling. Okay, now go back to your normal face, whatever that is. Maybe you notice that it felt better to smile than not to, and perhaps you will do it more often. If you're still having trouble smiling, try what, I don't know who this person is, Virginia Tupper does. She has a 6-inch cardboard cutout smile with an elastic band on it. When she does not feel like smiling, she puts it on. Then she looks in the mirror. Suddenly, a real smile happens under the cardboard one. And see, somebody is making a comment. Hi, Laura. Thanks for coming. And let's see. Okay. Wait a minute. There was one other thing I wanted to share. Okay. Adults often tell children, grow up. Perhaps one of the wisest things adults can do is to grow down, or do or say something from time to time, as children frequently do, that makes little or no sense. And wait a minute. It's been said that the reason angels can fly is because they take themselves lightly. And Norman Cousins calls laughter inner jogging. And then wait a minute, page 27. Okay, I did that one. Okay, all right. Now, Richard Skipper actually gave me this book, When Action Follows Heart, 365 Ways to Share Kindness by Susan Spencer, co-editor-in-chief of Women's Day. Okay. Next time you're on social media, reach out to an old acquaintance and share a positive experience or characteristic you still remember about her years later, or him. And then make it a rule to never pass a children's lemonade stand without stopping to buy a cup. Okay. Wait, there's another quote. Actually, what did I do with this? Oh, wait, there's another thing I wanted to share here really quick. If if I can find it. Oh, well, I don't know what I did with it. There was a quote I wanted to share. All right. Well, anyway. Okay. The only way I'll make it is by giving all I have. Michael Morgan. This is from timeforthinkers.com. Have you ever given something away, maybe reluctantly, then found you were richly rewarded? Hint, the reward isn't always material. And who else wants to say hello? My little eraser, my hippopotamus. Okay, now I think that I'm going to introduce Richard in a moment because, yeah, I don't know why I'm like, there's all these things that I wanted to share, but I couldn't find this one thing. All right, we need to have more fun. This is what that book was talking about. We need to be more like children. When children are actually don't take things so as seriously as adults, and actually, that's a big help. And then Henry Ward Beecher, American clergyman, said, "A person without a sense of humor is like a wagon without springs, jolted by every pebble on the road." Okay. So Richard Skipper. Oh, hi, Nancy's here too. Hi, Nancy. Gumby. Yeah, Gumby's great. Laura, I think you have one too. Yeah. Gumby's always smiling and giving you a hug. It's great. Gumby's great. Okay. I have thunder and lightning right now. We're having a storm here in Newburgh. So Richard Skipper is a popular, award-winning, and critically acclaimed entertainer, theater historian, writer, arts advocate, and interviewer. Under the umbrella of Richard Skipper Celebrates, Richard has conducted over 1,000 interviews in various platforms and modalities. Interviews in print, in person, panel discussions, and special events with bold-faced names, including Carol Channing, Rob Shooter, Sarah Dash, Charles Strouse, Lucie Arnaz, Linda Purl, Eileen Fulton, Anita Gillette, Leroy Reams, Marge Champion, Julie Budd, Sondra Lee. Authors Rick Lertzman and William J. Birnes from The Life and Times of Mickey Rooney, just to name a few. Bistro Awards, Associate Producer, 2010, 2012, 2013, celebrating excellence in cabaret and New York nightlife. Anyway, he's got so many accolades. And yeah, Nancy's, yes. Okay, you're in the Hudson Valley too, I know. Okay, so I'm going to have him on now. And we'll see you. See you soon in a minute. Right now. Hi, Richard.
Well, hello, Princess Registered Trademark Wow.
You're funny. I don't know. It feels really like official now. I'm like, I have this R circle. It's like kind of cool. Thank you.
You were official for a while. I mean, in this business, and you and I both know this, it's very easy for someone to come in and usurp something that you've created and worked on for years and years and years. So
Right.
The fact that you've gone this route to have yourself officially trademarked, I think is brilliant. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, it was a long haul, but it worked out.
Great.
Thank you. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So anyway, maybe one day you'll have yours done.
Well, I hope so. I hope that I become official.
You're way official. I've been sticking up on you. It's like, I mean, you and I have been friends. Oh, I have to thank you, Richard, because you're the one who got me back into doing interviews. Yeah, during the pandemic, because you know, I had a radio show years ago, and then so for me, it was just getting back into it. But you helped me so much. You were like, here, this is StreamYard. We got to you're showing me everything how to do it.
And, well, the thing is, Mindy, I believe wholeheartedly that we are, and I was having a conversation about this with someone yesterday, that we are all connected. And once we begin to think of ourselves as isolated or as, a lot of people operate from their ego.
Right.
In business. You know that better than anybody because you do the interviews, and I'm sure that you've dealt with all kinds. We could talk behind the scenes. We will never go on air and talk about those things. But you deal with a lot of egos in this business. And the one thing that I love more than anything else about being in this business, believe it or not, is the collaborative process. It's when two people come together, two or more people, and they bounce ideas off of each other, like you and I are having a conversation right now. And in order for this to really work, we have people, hopefully, who are watching us when this goes live, and if people are really engaged, they can take it a step further, not just for this show between you and me, but between everything that you and I do and everything that you see on social media is either hit the like button, hit the share button, leave a comment on YouTube. It's all of these things really help. If we all think of ourselves as being individuals and not having to connect with one another, then what's the point?
You're right. I agree with you. And so, but also I have to say, like you were, you'd be watching my show, you'd be giving, feedback and all this stuff. I mean, you're just so generous. And yeah, I really appreciated that. And really, I just so appreciate you. And
I love you, and I love your show, and I love what you bring, and I love your message. Smile, smile, smile. Get people to smile.
I need to smile more. I'm learning myself. But my color, I know, because people say, you're singing your smile song, you're not smiling, but it's like, I'm learning myself. But my colors help people smile. When I walk into a room, all my outfits and colors, so my hats and everything. So that's good. So one day
I wore black today because black really reflects all colors. People may not realize that, but
black is great too.
And that's why I wore black today. And as you can see, I'm surrounded by colors. I love colors, and I have my own Princess Wow doll right here. She stays on my desk, and of course, she's very colorful. And every morning when I get up and I sit down on my desk, there she is, leading with her smile. So I'm happy with that.
See, there you go. Okay, good. Well, I'm glad you have her.
I am too. She's got a good home here.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad she's in a good space, good place. So anyway, Richard, so I've been studying up more about you. You're so impressive, and you're just so humble, and just such a wonderful person, and all these accolades. I didn't even know all these things about you until I'm studying.
Wow. So you really have. So this will be exciting.
Well, yeah, because I'm interviewing you. You've been on my show before. I've been on your show many times. You've been on my show in the in the pandemic. I don't know when you were last on my show. Probably it was a while ago. So so I've been doing more studying, and all of your awards. Okay, 4 MAC awards, which is Manhattan Association of Cabarets and Clubs, Bistro Award, Cabaret Hotline, top 10 cabaret performers. Well, I've seen you perform many times, and I did see the show that you were taking on the road August 5th in Provincetown. I'm going to show the poster in a little bit. And I saw it at the Green Room 42.
Wow. Well, this show, just to let people know, if you think you've seen the show, you haven't seen the show.
Okay.
Because, this show is constantly evolving.
Okay.
It's very interesting. I was booked by my dear friend Parker Nolan, and he booked me as part of a cabaret week in Washington, D.C. in March. So I had not, because of the pandemic and everything else, I had not performed in almost 4 years. It's hard for me to believe that, but I was anxious to get out there. And the idea that I came up for my show was based on something that someone had once said about me. Every year in New York City, they have the New York City Cabaret Convention. And this is a humbling moment to everybody, but with the awards that I've won, the accolades that I've gotten, the reviews that I've received, and I've been going through all my reviews, and I'm going, wow, I got some really good reviews over the years. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back, but to make a point.
Right.
So years ago, the New York City Cabaret Convention, which this year, if I'm not mistaken, will be their 34th edition of this. When it impresario who created the Cabaret Convention was asked once if I was going to be in the Cabaret Convention. His response was, and I quote, "My dear, if we have people like Richard Skipper in the Cabaret Convention, what's next? Plate spinners and jugglers?"
Oh gosh.
But I didn't take that as an insult.
Right.
Because I'm proud to be a plate spinner. I am proud to be a juggler. And I am proud to be lumped with those two categories of entertainment because it harkens back to the old days of vaudeville and burlesque when it was all about entertaining an audience at all cost. And that's what I'm all about. So when I was asked to do the show, I created a show called Plate Spinners, Jugglers, and Richard Skipper. But I thought that's a difficult title for people to have to remember or process or something. So after doing my show in Washington, D.C., which was very successful, I might add, I thought, this is an evening with Richard Skipper. This is me coming out. And you know this because you've been to my show. One year, one review that I received, which is one of my favorite reviews, the critics said going to one of my shows was like having your pillow fluffed, that I really took the time with every person in the audience. And for me, it's always about the audience. I want the audience to have a great time. So what I do now with these shows, and it harkens back to my Carol Channing days, is I pass out question cards before the show starts, so that the audience can ask me questions about people I've worked with, places I've been, events that have happened in my life, or anything that's going on in the world. I try not to get political, so those questions will be pulled right out. I don't see any of the questions before I start the show, so that everything's completely off the cuff, because that's the way that I like to work. And so no two shows are ever the same, because I never know the direction that the show is going to take me. I know what songs my musical director, Brian Summers, and I are going to put together for the evening. And I may turn to Brian and say, "Brian, let's sing this song here instead of this song." And, and he'll be flexible enough to be able to go with the flow, because it's all about being in the moment. And I want the evening to feel, and we're going to be in Provincetown, which is a party town to begin with.
Right.
I want the audience to feel like for that hour that they are at a party in my home.
That is so cool. That is like really neat. So it's developed that way, because when I saw it, I don't think you did that.
No, the show that you saw, I did in response to the 40th anniversary of my arriving in New York. And by the way, this will be 4 years later. So it's hard to believe that it's been that long. But so much has happened since then. COVID, of course, really disrupted our lives, but it created this for us.
Exactly. So it's like we created new things, right?
But I have been, behind this camera, for the last 3 years.
Right.
I've loved every moment of it, almost, because, and this, but you burn out doing this, because it's not just you and me or anyone else who's doing this. And this is for everyone who's watching. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
for watching.
But it's not, and this, it's not about us just sitting down, turning on a switch and saying, let's do an interview.
Exactly.
The research, the work that goes into reaching out to the guest, following up with the guest, answering their questions. A lot of times the guest, if they're not used to doing this type of an interview, it's outside their comfort zone.
Right.
So it's answering a lot of questions. It's being chief cook and bottle washer. And then you sit down and you hope that for the next hour or so, that everything is going to fall into place and it's all going to work. That's the magic of any show that you do. You hope that once that curtain rises, once the television signal goes out to the world, that the show is going to work. That's what we as artists, that's where our training comes into place. But you never know what's going to happen for the next hour. So, but I have done this for the last 3 years. I've done almost 900 shows.
That's amazing,
Richard. And I am just anxious to get out there and connect with people again. And there's nothing like it. And you're coming back to live performing again. So congratulations for you as well.
Thanks. Yeah. It feels good to be able to do that again, right? To get out behind this camera here. I know. I agree. But thank you. So anyway, so okay, so are you going to be going on tour, or is this okay? I know that you did something in DC.
That's my hope. I'm already in talks to do APAP in January. That's
Okay.
the Presenters and Performers Showcase,
Right.
for those who don't know. Yeah, and when for those who don't know, I spent 20 years performing as Carol Channing.
That's what I was going to say. Tell people, because a lot of people don't know.
And for that 20-year career, it was very interesting. The fact that I was out there performing as Carol Channing. There are a lot of people that have performed as Carol Channing over the years, but I had a career at it. And I headlined in Atlantic City. I headlined in Vegas. But even with the reviews and the awards and everything that I had going with it, it didn't come easy for me. The straight venues were afraid that that they were going to get a drag show,
right,
and that would scare them.
Yeah.
And the gay venues didn't feel that my show was drag enough, if you know what I mean. In other words, I wasn't over the top. I presented Carol Channing exactly as I saw her. She was bigger than life as she was. I didn't have to add on to that, because if I did, audiences would not be comfortable for 90 minutes. So I really humanized her in a way. Her shows were very scripted. My shows were very audience interactive. Again, the question cards were always asked before the show started, so that the audience could ask Carol questions about people she's worked with. But I did my research, and I was prepared when I did those shows. So I was constantly I felt for 20 years, I constantly felt like I was having to prove myself. I was having to prove myself to the straight world and to the gay world. And I worked a lot, but it came with a lot. For every booking that I got, people don't realize the amount of effort that went into getting those bookings and convincing them that the audiences would go along with for the ride, and all of those things that come into place. It was a lot of work.
Was that you doing it, or did you have an agent talking to them?
No, I did it myself.
It was you.
And believe it or not, I have in this business, and I will not go into a lot of details because it would be a whole new show on that, but I have been burned badly by an agent. I had an agent in Atlantic City that by the time I finished one show, the producers did not want to work with him. I did not know this. So behind the scenes, and this is advice to all the entertainers watching, there needs to be transparency. You need to know what these people that are part of your team are doing on your behalf. And I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware that the agent was burning bridges behind me. I had a manager that I had to go into arbitration with because the manager was making demands. I signed a contract, which I cannot go into, that I take responsibility for signing the contract, but it was a bad contract. And so these things in this business, they are learning curves and definitely stepping stones along the way. But with each one, it was really knocking me down. 20 years of my life I spent as Carol. And then when that all ended, and as I'm starting to create a new career for myself, COVID comes along. And so I really feel at this point in my life, so I want to thank you for this platform and for giving me the opportunity. I feel like I'm starting all over again.
Really?
I do.
Now? You mean right now?
I do. I feel that for the first time in my life, and I have been in New York, this year will be 44 years. I have spent my life, for the most part, hiding behind the mask of characters, Carol Channing, and now it's time for me to let Richard Skipper shine in the spotlight. That's my goal with this show. This is where I want to go with this. But I really do feel like I'm starting all over again. And I'll tell you, this is a very humbling business, because with everything that you have going for you, and I'm sure you deal with this all the time. Maybe you don't. Maybe I'm assuming, and I shouldn't be assuming.
Okay.
But in my own case, for every person who goes, "Oh my God, I love your show," there are 5 to 10 who say, "I've never heard of you."
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to hopefully win those people over, and that they're going to continue to go along for the ride. So it's a constant, and the business is changing. TCM, they just recently laid off more than half of their staff.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh.
they're bringing new people in. There are always new people that are coming in who feel that they know their audiences better than the audiences know themselves. And that's
Mm-hmm.
always a huge mistake. I always want to give my audiences, the people that show up, what they're interested in. And hopefully I achieve that. That's the goal.
Well, from all your accolades here, I know you're doing a great job, Richard.
No,
Because with your show, I mean, I'm reading up, and even before, you were doing PR though too, right, for years.
I dabbled in PR for a while. It all began, thank you, Lucie Arnaz.
Yeah, I was reading that Lucie Arnaz.
Yeah, Lucie Arnaz was doing her show at the Carlisle, and she called me up, and she was booked on that weekend between Easter and Passover. Sometimes they crisscross. So that year they were crisscrossing. And what was I thinking? I'm doing my show at the Carlisle. And she said, would you be interested in doing my PR for me? And I said, Lucie, I've never done that before. I don't know anything. And she said, but you know everybody, and everybody knows you.
Well, that's the thing, Richard. I don't know how you know everybody in the world, in the theater world.
Because
I think you do.
We're all interconnected. And if I don't know them, I have a way of getting to them.
Right.
So I said I would do it. And then she said, okay, how much do you want? And I said, I can't ask you to pay me for this. She said, well, I'm not going to have you do it for nothing. So I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. At the end of the run, there are two things that I'd like from you. Number one, if you're happy with what I do, sing my praises from the rooftops. And she did. Every night, she acknowledged me from the stage. And I know this from the calls that I got from people who said, you won't believe what Lucie said about you on stage last night. So that was number one. And she sold out, by the way, for the entire run. And number two, she sent me a very nice check when it was all over. So it was all appreciated. And so Lucie got me started.
Oh, so that's how you got into it. Okay.
That's how I got into it. And I really thought for a moment that I wanted to go that route.
Okay.
And that I would be a publicist. And I was a very good publicist. And I'll tell you why I was a good publicist. Because first and foremost, I'm an entertainer. And I know what your needs are before you even ask me what you need. Any publicist that will come along and says, I can guarantee you I can fill those seats. I can guarantee you that I'll get you the coverage that you want. I can guarantee you blah, blah, blah. Run in the opposite direction. I never made promises, but what I would promise would be that I would work my tuchus off to make sure that they got the things that they desired. And I would always ask my clients, what are the top 3 things that you desire to get out of this show? And it was always amazing what some entertainers would come back and tell me. And I would always try to bring those elements to the table with every show that they did. I couldn't always deliver. And as a result, there were some people that were disappointed because they were expecting miracles.
Right.
I mean, you're not known in this business. And, I had one particular entertainer, and she was doing a show on a Saturday in July, and the show was packed, but there was no press there. And it was her husband that was upset with me.
Okay.
And her husband did not want her to hire me when she came back to do her next show. And the reason they were upset was because I did not get any press to come in and see them.
Right.
And I said, you have to understand that the press, all the press out there covering Cabaret, they're volunteers. They do this when they've got the time to do it. And it's a Saturday in July. They're in Fire Island. They're in the Hamptons. They are at Jersey Shore. They are at the beach. They are on vacation. They're enjoying themselves. I'm sorry I couldn't deliver. So again, you can't always give your clients what they desire.
No, it's a tough business, I think, being a PR person. Because you really can't guarantee. Huh?
It's tough on both sides.
Right. No, definitely. Absolutely. I know from my end experience, I know too. So anyway, so you've interviewed over 1,000 people. It says over 1,000 interviews.
Well, it's much more than that. My interview started when I started working on my book that I'm hopefully will get published in the next year.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Wait, are you writing a memoir?
No, I'm not writing a memoir, not yet. I want to get a couple of more things under my belt before I do that.
I wanted to know. Okay.
But
Yeah.
I am writing a book celebrating all of the women and a few good men who have played Dolly in Hello, Dolly. And I have a website called callondolly.com.
Okay.
And that, it is like it's a catchphrase. I was on a site this morning. I get Google alerts for Hello Dolly, and I got this Google alert this morning for this show that's playing in the Washington D.C. area, and the reviewer in her review said that Carol Channing originated the role on Broadway, and she was followed by Purl Bailey, and then Carol Channing came back to do it again. And I wrote to the editor, and I said, with all due respect, I'm a stickler for detail. It wasn't Purl Bailey that followed Carol Channing. It was Ginger Rogers, followed by Betty Grable, Martha Ray, and then it was Martha Ray, then Betty Grable, Purl Bailey, Phyllis Diller, Ethel Merman, and then Carol came back in 1975.
Wow.
But it's important that people know that. Rather than, because a critic will write something and the editor may say, well, it doesn't matter. But it does matter. It's our history, and the facts need to be corrected.
Right. Huh. That's really interesting. I knew Martha Ray.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I'm not going to talk about how I knew her, but I'll tell you later.
Oh, I'm a huge.
I have a whole story. I
love her.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tell you behind later.
Okay.
I don't really want to talk about it on here, but anyway. Okay. So anyway, all right. Well, let's actually. What I want to do really quick is let's show your poster. I'm going to show the poster for your new for your show in Provincetown.
Yes. Isn't that fun?
It's great. I love it. I have a picture of me holding a picture of me when I'm younger, but not that young.
Well, I'll tell you why first of all,
yeah.
Two things I want to point out. Number one, Glenn Charlo took that photograph after my show in Washington, D.C. in March, and the poster was designed by Ron Spivak. So I want to give him credit because he did a phenomenal job.
It's a great poster.
And he was so wonderful, Mindy. We went back and forth with different ideas, but I love that photograph because to me, and you know this about my shows, I always ask my guests to bring a photograph of them at 5 years of age.
Right.
Because to me, the photograph at 5 is the purest self. It's before life begins to tell you who you should be or who you shouldn't be.
Right.
And in today's world where it's crazy right now, especially with kids, I would not want to be a kid in today's school system for all the money in the world.
I know.
So I thank God daily that I came along at a time where all I had to think about when I was in school was recess, what I was going to do after school, what was going to be on television that night.
Right.
Television junkie. And those were the things that my 5-year-old world was all about. So to me, it's about going back to that 5-year-old self and the dreams and the hopes and the wishes that we had at 5 years of age. And somehow, somewhere along the line, people come along who say, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be thinking this, or you shouldn't be going that.
Right.
And that's what that photograph symbolizes for me.
No, I think it's really neat that you do that. So you do that with everybody, with all your guests.
I do. I try to do that with as many of my guests as possible.
As you can. And not everybody does it. Okay. Not everybody wants to do it. Okay. So that's really neat. Okay. So, all right. Now you also, you're a theater historian too. And that's basically with the Dolly, with Hello Dolly. And you're also, you do so many things. Now your podcast that you've been doing, it's also syndicated?
It's syndicated. Once we do the actual video, then I put it on a platform called Blogspot, Blog Talk Radio. And then it's like an RSS feed. It goes out. I'm probably on at least, I would say, 500 different platforms.
Really?
Yes, it goes around the world.
Just from going on Blog Talk Radio, it does that. It's for you. Oh,
I've got it. Well, it takes time and effort to get yourself set up on all these different platforms. But I'm on Apple. I'm on Spotify. Wherever you listen to your podcast. If I'm not there, ask me about it, and I'll get it there.
So it's the podcast, not the visual. It's just like the radio.
It's the audio. It's
the audio part.
And some people like to listen to me on the treadmill. Some people listen to me, in their cars, which I love. And so, and all of my shows, after I do them live, they're on demand. So you can go in and watch them at any time.
Right.
It's very interesting because when someone's in the news or with something, I can see my numbers spike with those interviews that I've done. And the unfortunate thing is, as time goes on, a lot of people that I've interviewed have passed on. And I'm grateful that their stories and their shows are now preserved on.
I know. It's great. I think about that. I know it's great to have this for these people. And yeah, I know. I think that's really neat. And, so before the pandemic though, you were doing a variety talk show in person.
I was doing The Magic of Believing, which is also, Richard Skipper Celebrates.
Yeah, Richard Skipper. Yeah, you did that at the Laurie Beachman Theater.
At the Laurie Beachman Theater, and that was produced by my dear friend Russ Woolley.
Right.
And I couldn't have done it without him. So Russ, if you're watching, thank you. We had we had a 5-piece band. We had 5 guests for each show, and each guest would come on. They would sing a song, and then we would sit and we would have a conversation, and then they would do a second song, and each show was built around whatever day we were booked on, things that happened throughout history on that day.
Oh, that's neat.
So it was a lot of fun. So I would tell them, do a little research and find songs that resonate with you related to the things that happened specifically on that date.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. Oh, that's neat. And now what you do is you have your Skipper's Guide.
I have the Skipper's Guide. That's my newsletter. I see that you've got my website scrolling here. You can go to my newsletter. The newsletter comes out every Monday morning. It goes into, I finished tweaking it Sunday night, and then it's in your mailbox at 3 a.m. on Monday morning. And it's now, because I'm doing both live and the virtual stuff, on some days I may not even do either of those things, but it's what is special about that day, because you and I know this. I believe that every single day is to be celebrated when we take the time to do so.
Right.
So whatever day it is, I find a little quote. I will write a little bit about the history of why that day is what it is. And it's almost like a TV guide that comes out every week. That's why we call it the Skipper's Guide.
I love that.
You can celebrate every day for that week. And it comes out once a week. If you sign up, for those who are watching, you will not be spammed. I do not send endless emails. You know this about me.
Really?
I do not send the endless emails, and it comes out once a week. And that's it.
Well, it's a lot of work you're putting into this news. It's amazing. I look at it, I'm like, my God, Richard, it's like, it must take you like a day to do it.
Well, what I do is I will go on and I will look at what's happening a week from today.
Okay.
Do I have a show plan that day? Am I doing something live? Or am I going to see something that I think needs to be celebrated that day? And, and those things will end up in the newsletter. And I hope, I get some feedback from certain people. My readership is high. So hopefully a lot of people are watching it and reading it and enjoying it. That's my hope. If they're not entertained by it, what's the point? Right.
And then you've got your mugs that you
do. This is a mug, and I'll show you. This mug was we did a show called The Art of Cabaret, and on this particular show, I have to turn this around so you can see. I had Leanne Daisy on that show, David Sabella, Quinn Limley, those girls, incredible act, and Jim Speak. And with each of the shows that we did, I had a mug created, and everybody in the show got their own Richard Skipper Celebrates mug with as a commemorative.
Oh, when your live show, when you did it at the Laurie Beachman, you did that?
at the Laurie Beachman Theater.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's really cool.
And that's where I got the idea for the mugs. And so we started doing this. And it's funny because I was talking to someone earlier this morning about another interview, and she said, I don't have a Richard Skipper Celebrates mug. And so I'm a little jealous. And she said, that's how our interview is going to begin, because I'm going to talk. If it's like all these celebrities are posting their pictures on my page. I had a show, and I was calling it my mugshot page. So the other night, I went to see a show. I went to see Natalie Douglas. She is phenomenal. She was at Birdland. And as I was sitting there, because I sent a mug backstage to her because she's been on the show before the show. And then I thought, I don't want to call this mug shots anymore, because a mug shot is something negative.
Like in jail, like if you're in jail.
Jail. So now I call it my cups of love.
Great, Richard.
I send these out, like you with the Smile Revolution. When I send these out, I'm sending out each mug as a cup of love.
I love that's good. That's much better. I love that, Richard. It's great.
The more people I see with these cups of love, and I've got a whole, and of course you just sent me yours. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But yours will be going on my page as well.
Yeah, because I did it with what I was wearing with you today.
Oh, good, great.
I thought that was a good idea. All right, well, good. Cups of love. Here we go.
Cups of love, and here we are.
Here we go. I love it. It's great, Richard.
Everybody, let's let that be a movement. Everybody send out a cup of love every day with a big smile.
Mm-hmm. We need more love and smiles in the world.
Absolutely.
That's a great need. And your tagline is celebrating artists and their body of worth.
Exactly.
Right, which I love. It's really great.
Well, what's the one question that a lot of people ask you the first time they meet you when they know nothing about you?
Well, most people, are you an artist? But people, they look at me and they think I'm an artist.
Well, obviously with you.
With me.
You walk the walk, you talk the talk, you live and you breathe it. But the one question that most people will ask people, what do you do?
Right, what do you do? Right.
Because what that does is people are defined by their work. Think about this for a moment. And it's the first question that most people will ask people that they're meeting for the first time. What do you do? And but how do you encapsulate what you do? You've gone through almost my resume with all the things that I do. You too, Mindy. You make hats. You've got your podcast. You do your live show. The interviews. All the things that you do cannot be encapsulated into one statement.
Right.
So I believe that rather than celebrating a person's body of work, let's celebrate a person's body of worth. Because I do believe that every person has something positive to bring to the table. Let's face it, there are a lot of negative people out in the world. You and I, we read about them in the news every day. We see them in the news every day. And those people are the people that are celebrated night after night after night on the news. I'm not going to get political, but there are certain political figures. Every time they sneeze, it's in the news.
I know.
When celebrities are going through a breakup, or their marriages, or or they've been fired, it ends up on the news.
Right.
These are private moments in a person's life, and I don't think those moments should be celebrated.
Right.
What if we celebrated each person for what they bring to the table? And that's where we need to go. And that's my movement. You've got your Smile Revolution. My movement is to celebrate people's body of worth.
Well, no, it's wonderful because just this whole celebrity worship is just it's not healthy. And then and most people are not superstars in the world. It's a small group of people in the world. And then everything they do is like in the public eye, and it's like people get. But I feel like right now people are starting to get tired of all this stuff.
Well, people will say, I mean, just throw me a celebrity. You mentioned earlier Martha Ray. Let's go with her for just a moment.
Okay.
People will go, oh my God, I met Martha Ray last night. Do you know what my next thing is that I say to them?
What?
She met you.
One of my friends says that to me too.
Yes, because we put these
Them on
people
a pedestal.
on a pedestal, and a pedestal puts them on a level above us.
Right.
They are where they are because of the work that they've done, because of certain accolades and certain achievements that they've made in their lives. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they are a better person than you,
Right.
or that they deserve to be celebrated more than you. I
Right.
believe all people are to be celebrated. And I've reached out to certain people that are friends on Facebook and social media and everything, saying, would you like to come on my Friday wrap-up show, for example, or this show? And they'll go, well, I'm not really a celebrity. I'm not. And I'm going, then you haven't really paid attention.
Yeah.
Because I believe in celebrating everybody. And we get into this mode. And I've been very, very fortunate. I have been able to break bread. I've had many celebrities in my home. I have been able to be a part of their lives, but they've been able to be a part of my life as well. It's very easy going through life if we all take the time to celebrate each other and to say yes to one another. So many people are very quick to negate each other and to push things aside. And let's get past that. Let's all, if we all say yes to each other, don't say yes to things that are going to put you in a bad position or that are going to take you away from your goals.
You're right.
But it's very easy to say yes to people.
And sometimes you need to say no too, because like some things are just don't feel right, and that you have to be able to say no also.
Well, I'm allergic to shellfish. I'm going to say no if someone puts shellfish in front of me.
Okay. But you know what I'm saying. So,
It's very interesting because Anthony Bourdain, I don't know if you ever watched his
yeah.
show when he was
Yeah.
on CNN, but when after he passed away, I saw this documentary on him, and he traveled the world, and he believed that if you go into someone's home and they put a meal out in front of you, and if there's something that you don't like, that it's rude to say to that person, I'm sorry, but I don't really like this, or I can't eat that, or whatever, that we should partake of it and then move on. Well, I totally disagree with that. Because if there's something that you don't like, why make yourself uncomfortable? I don't like roller coasters. I'm not going to get on a roller coaster to appease my friends because they want to go on a roller coaster.
Right.
I'm not going to jump out of an airplane because my friends want to jump out of an airplane.
Exactly right.
You have to say yes and no within reason, and you always have to be true to yourself. That's the bottom line.
Exactly. Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, sometimes some things are just don't feel right, and you can't just go with it just because it's, you have to sometimes say no. I've learned that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, so your show is coming up August 5th. It's one night only.
That's right.
And do you have, you go there every year though, right? You and Danny go every year?
Have you ever been to Provincetown?
Yes, I love it there. Oh my God. I adore it there.
Provincetown, and I'm going to be talking about this in the show. The first time that I went to Provincetown, this was before Danny. Danny is my husband. We've been together 34 years. So the first time that I went to Provincetown was 37 years ago. And I was meeting someone in Provincetown that I was dating at the time. I stepped off the bus right in the square on Commercial Street, and I felt like I had stepped into this fantasy world because it was summer, it was August, it was right on the beach. It was all the things that I love. And every single night we went to see a different show. We went to different restaurants. And I love walking up and down Commercial Street because, and with me, I walk up and down Commercial Street and I'm constantly running into people that I know because I was rehearsing for a show that I did in Provincetown. This was probably 1991, and I had been out of high school. I graduated in 1979. I am rehearsing at this place called the Ocean's Inn. It's a different business now, but I am standing there rehearsing, and I see my high school French teacher walk past the window.
Oh, God.
And I, of course, went running. I ended the rehearsal. I ran out to see her, and she came to see the show that night. I could not believe that I was seeing my high school French
That's
teacher,
amazing.
from South Carolina and
That's amazing. I know. That's amazing.
Provincetown is one of my favorite places on the planet. And I said, I have to perform here. And I have had the good fortune of performing there over the years. The last time that I performed in Provincetown was 10 years ago. And it was a very bad experience for me. It was a bad experience because of the people that I was working with at the time. And so when I left Provincetown that time, I left in tears. And I said, dear God, please let me come back on my own terms someday. And so here I am, 10 years later. I'm coming back, and I'm doing the show that I really feel that I was born to do. So I'm very excited about this show.
That's great. So you have a lot of friends there.
I have a lot of friends there. And but the thing about Provincetown is there are many, 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 many options. So it's a matter.
Oh, I say.
I have a friend that lives there that my original musical director was Michael Mackesy. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. And he got booked to perform at Surflight Theater this summer.
Oh, okay.
In New Jersey. So I'm happy for him. But unfortunately, that meant he couldn't play for me.
Okay.
So I reached out to a friend of mine, Dana Piro, another brilliant musician who lives in Provincetown in the summer.
Okay.
He was not available. He's already booked that night.
Okay.
So everyone, come to Provincetown and celebrate with me.
Oh, you know what? I love it there so much. And I did perform there one year when I was there at the A House.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. And I won a cash award. It was like Penny Arcade was there.
Wow.
She won first prize, and then we were tied for second. I'll tell you later. Anyway, so I had the best time in my life there. I just loved it there so much.
I love Provincetown. I can't wait to go back.
Huh. Well, now I'm thinking maybe I should come up. I don't know. Let me think.
Oh my God, it would mean the world to me.
I know. Well, now that we're talking about it, I love it there so much. Let me think about it, Richard.
Okay. I'd love it.
That would be neat. I love it there. It is a magical place.
And it's great. And what I love, it's being a part that week. And for me, it's one night only. But the other artists that are in town, I will be seeing other shows. There's a new production of The Fantastics that's now that's actually opening, I think, next week. It's opening on July 10th in Town. And Tom Jones, who wrote the original The Fantastics, has rewritten this, and it's a gay version of The Fantastics.
Oh.
Instead of Lisa, it's now Lewis, and instead of the fathers, it's now mothers. And hopefully, I'm going to be interviewing Tom Jones in the next week or so, and I hope to be there to see that show. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the other entertainers while I'm in town. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, that sounds really cool. Okay, Richard. Well, I've got to wrap it up. Is there anything last word you want to say? Let me show the poster again really quick. Let me find the post. Oh, here it is. Whoops. Wait a minute. Wait a second. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Here's the poster again. So it's August 5th, Saturday night at 8:30. That's the actual.
It's the actual 44th anniversary of my arriving in New York, and I do want to leave everyone with a little story, if I may.
Okay, sure.
Okay, this book, The Magic of Believing. When I was 13 years old, I was reading this book. Believe it or not, I had a hardcover copy of this book. And I was reading this book, and in the book, Claude Bristol says, set your mind on a goal like a homing pigeon and go after it with dogged determination. That was August 5th, 1974. I closed the book, and I went in and I said to my mom and dad, 5 years from today, I'm going to go to New York. And they looked at me like I had 5 heads. I was speaking in tongues. I was speaking a foreign language. It was something, I grew up on a tobacco farm in South Carolina. They could not resonate. This just could not go through them. And to this day, my father is gone. May he rest in peace. But my mom is still here, and she still doesn't understand my life.
I know.
All of this.
I know.
But the wonderful thing is that I did it. I came to New York on August 5th, 1979, because I believed that I would. And that's the message of my show. And if you believe you can do it, you can do it. And I'm hoping that the audiences that come to see the show are not only going to have a good time, but they're going to leave inspired to go after whatever dreams they have.
Right. Well, that's great, Richard. I think it's fantastic. And you're so amazingly talented and have such a good message.
Thank you.
So I hope maybe some people watching will come up to Provincetown. It isn't, and maybe
I would love that.
I know. It's an incredible place. So anybody who's never been there, it's just so fun there. I mean, just walking around.
Food is great. There are art galleries.
It's so beautiful. So many art galleries. It's a very special place. A lot of artists, and it's just really a fun place to be.
And I always go. I don't pack a lot when I go there because I end up buying new clothes every time I go. I'm leaving back with new things because I can't say enough about Provincetown.
I know. I agree.
Place on the planet.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much, Richard, for taking the time to be on my show today.
Thank you.
It was great to be with you and catch up and hear about all your amazing accolades. Everything you do it's really special.
Thank you.
So thanks so much. And I hope your show's going to go great. I know. And I'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
You.
Okay. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Okay, let me just see. Oh, Nancy's saying, oh, cool. Oh, that's really great, Nancy. So anyway, thank you so much for joining live or in replay. And happy July 4th tomorrow. And hope you're going to have a good time, whatever you're doing. And hope there aren't too many fireworks that upset the animals and the birds and everything. Anyway, where you are. And next week, I don't know. We'll see. I may do another solo edition next week. We'll see what happens. I've got to get a hold of another interviewee. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, yeah. And Richard's amazing guy. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, whoever's watching live. And keep smiling, keep sweet. Join the Smile Revolution. And my friend and I are going to say goodbye for tonight. Okay? Love you all. See you soon. Bye. Let's see. Signing off. It's called the Smile Revolution that comes, goes round and back to you. So smile.